We're also seeing a lot of it happening across Africa. And when you look deeper, it's really depressing. Go and check that video of mine about where this cancer is coming from in Kenya. Because what I've also discovered similar things have happened in Sudan. And what is shocking is that it is recently emerged that China actually buried nuclear waste, allegedly, in the northern Sudan desert. And this unlawful burial of nuclear waste violates, the human rights of Sudan, the people, and is actually causing havoc and mayhem. The government of Sudan actually, they have actually been burying this radioactive waste in close proximity to people and water sources, and it's a time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb, and it poses a serious threat to the people. And what happened, the wickedness of this story, like when I read it, actually my head hurt. So what happened is that China was actually commissioned to build this dam called Mirao, I don't know how they pronounce it. And when they came to build it, they came with all their construction materials, everything, like the concrete, everything. But they also came with about 60 containers, allegedly, of nuclear waste from Chinese power plants. And this was revealed by the former director of the Sudan Atomic Energy Agency, Mohammed Siddiq. And he reported in the media saying, he was reported in the media as saying that 60 of these containers of toxic waste brought to Sudan with construction material and machinery for building the Mero Dam were not checked. Because, the Chinese were coming to build a dam. They came with all these containers of all this different stuff, and it just passed through authorities. I'm sure someone got their pockets lined with some cash, etc., etc. And this former director of Sudan Atomic Energy Agency, Mohammed Siddiq, he actually went on and said that 40 of these containers with nuclear waste were buried in the desert near the dam site, whereas 20 were left in the open. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the wickedness of this? You bring your nuclear waste and then bury it in our desert? Hey, this is so painful. And they actually buried it near something that's known as like the Eastern Cataract of the Nile. It's just like they want to just destroy Africa. Like who even agrees for nuclear waste to come into the country? And so, so these allegations of burial in northern Sudan, basically after all these allegations, the Justice of Minister formed a fact-finding committee headed by the chief public prosecutor and representatives from the Sudan Atomic Energy Commission to determine the presence of chemicals or radioactive material in the area of the Mero Dam and its environmental implications. Now, they came back and they claimed that Chinese companies' burial of nuclear waste in the desert during the construction of the Mero Dam was actually, like, there was no evidence of that. Someone was paid off, right? So, someone was paid off. And so now this story has actually been picked up by an international human rights lobby group, and I think it's the Human Rights Initiative, and they're saying this is a huge violation of the environmental human rights of the people, because one of the environmental rights that all our governments have signed to is this thing of you have the right to access clean water, a clean, sustainable natural resource, unspoiled natural resources. And, in December 2015, Siddiq actually revealed that they'd allowed the containers in without inspection. We can't trust anybody, my brothers and sisters. We cannot. And you know what? 2016, in case you doubt, is there evidence? Is it true that they buried radioactive waste? Well, one of the indicators is whenever this happens, there's a huge, sharp increase in cancer cases. And in 2016, there was actually a survey that was carried out by the Sudanese health minister and World Health Organization, which found an exponentially growing number of cases of cancer in the country. This is the cost of corruption, my brothers and sisters. This is the cost of corruption. Imagine that. The dam was completed in 2009. They buried that waste in the early 2000s. And now, in 2019 is when people are starting to appear with all these cancer cases. We can't have corrupt leaders. It's a death sentence, literally. Until next time.